in Game 2 at least, the great lead they had, is just something to really respect and almost like sit back and be in awe of, because as much as Gen.g has shown great tenacity in both games too, like they defended their Nexus, they set up for one more team fight, T1 has shown the same, if not more. So such a terrifying opponent to now have to reverse sweep.
Yeah. It shows, you know, Gen.g a very strong team, but T1, there's a reason why they were 17-1 with the one slip up against Life Esports in the regular season. And I think they only get stronger as we do move into best of fives. Although KT did really give them a run for their money. Still waiting to see if Gen.g can do something like that as well, as we have the same bans as Game 2.
Yeah, Jace going to be the first pick once again. And then we'll see what T1 decide to do AD carry-wise here. All right, we may be running it back. The Viego actually coming through instead of the Sejuani, though, this time, as it was banned in the second phase. And this has been an old favorite of owners, you know, much more known for his Lee Sin play. But when he first came onto the scene, when he first became the mainstay jungler, it was a Viego meta, and he was very strong at the pick back then, too. The Thresh to come through as... Besides the Viego, we are completely running this back, as might see a Sejuani ban this time instead of the Viego we saw last time, if they're really afraid of that.
Yeah, and maybe a Malphite ban instead of a Wukong ban here for T1.
Yeah.
Although, maybe they say, oh yeah, it was fine, like Guba handled it. we'll just let him do it again. I could see a world where they do go for that. I think the safe thing is to just ban Malphite, and they will go for the safe thing.
I think that's wise, as this is going to completely change up the draft here for Gen.g. Lissandra, I think, is a great adaptation here, because Faker has looked really good on it. It weakens the Ahri and LeBlanc picks for Chovy that he's liked to play. Now, this may just open up T1 locking in the LeBlanc themselves like we were calling for in the previous set. We'll see what Faker decides to do here to save that counter pick for Zeus. Completely the opposite. No.
Okay.
Nah.
Guba, you're such a troll. I thought, you know, we had... never mind.
So, he'll take the Ahri, right? And now you have Thresh Ahri, Aphelios. We've seen this before. We have seen this crush. It has been something that T1 has brought back to the forefront of the meta, is Ahri Thresh. They don't have to have the Vi necessarily. LeBlanc here going to be a skill-based matchup for Chovy to try to get ahead there. As ornaments to make this comp amplified in the late game and to just weather the storm against this Jace feels very strong here too for T1. And for Gen.g now, you really have to kind of out-skirmish this team and outplay them at every turn. And it's, once again, giving, in my opinion, Chovy the keys to the Gen.g van right now, you know, because we're either driving home, going to the loser's bracket, or we're reverse sweeping and it starts right here. And the LeBlanc is going to be such a critical part of this composition. He's going to have to threaten the Thresh, the Aphelios. We'll have to win out against Faker's Ahri in the skirmishes, right, across the map in lane. And yeah, you've got good engage, you've got good poke, and you have scaling. But I think Chovy is really going to be the X factor here in this draft, as T1 also scale incredibly well, have those ornaments, and have incredible pick. So it is going to be very difficult here as Gen.g. This is it for Gen.g here in the winner's side of the bracket. One more slip up, one more loss in this best of 5, and you are going down to losers.
Absolutely. It all comes down to this. Let's see if they can start the return, come back, or will T1 just take it all away? Let's hop onto the rip for Game 3.
생산까지 30초 남았습니다.
A little bit of action here at level 1, but nothing too
we'll zoom in
home about.
Maybe Doran got some first strike gold, but either way he's going to back just to get some health back.
Indeed, Comet here for Zeus. An owner has, with this Ahri Vi, which is another, Ahri Viego, which is another common pairing for the Ahri, before Vi became meta. A lot of agency this game. You just need your jungler to start with VI, and you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. What about VE?
Not so good.
Veigar jungle. Not going to happen. Not this time.
Yeah. I think that Chovy here, obviously on LeBlanc, isn't going to be under as much threat as a lot of our mids have been, right? Because LeBlanc is super mobile, and you could use Distortion to get out of a lot of hairy situations against almost any jungler. But, you know, picks like Talia, which we've seen in the past be super important, really struggle in these types of scenarios. So while it is a strong mid jungle here for T1, it is still versus a LeBlanc. So as long as Chovy doesn't distort too aggressively, you know, you're going to have a lot of safety in this lane. Just have to use your chains as your main form of aggression with your Q. Try to proc electrocute as much as possible. He's already done it once, and because Faker went for Unsealed Spellbook, the electrocute advantage goes to the LeBlanc, and it's just how it's going to be for a little bit.
Yeah. We'll have to keep that in mind as the game comes along. We have had a lot of already interesting objective plays and potential steals going either way. Zeus takes a big chunk here. But yeah, Faker on the mobile Ahri might be looking to do some stealing later on in the game. From the red side especially, it's a little bit easier to just hop over the wall and get in there and potentially steal it away alongside of Owner.
Yeah, Chovy is one of those players that is so incredibly good at these picks like LeBlanc and knows these assassin matchups so well that he does not use his abilities to CS at all while he's doing this. And that is the most impressive thing about what he's doing in this lane, is keeping his mana full, using his abilities only to harass Faker and proc electrocute, but really just making sure he hits his autos perfectly timed on the minions to push out this advantage. So you can see his mana bar is quite high here despite doing a lot of damage. Faker's handling the pressure decently well.
Yeah, just doing a good job of that as well. Just going to fall behind just a little bit. As Owner is going for a nice little run into the enemy jungle. They are going to know that he is over there just based on the surprise boom. I believe that he did hit. Either way, he's going to take this top scuttle, and things are going to be calm here for just a moment, which I feel like it's going to benefit Peanut. Gives him some time to try to hit level 6 before Owner gets a little bit too active on the map.
Yep. Doran's ring picked up here for Faker with the early teleport.
Look at this read from Peanut.
Yeah.
He's reading this like a book. Let's see if T1 actually go for it. As it looks like he's just going to back. Okay. T1 kind of avoiding a very scary scenario.
Yeah, that was actually really well handled. Delay.
Okay, nice little lantern. Going to shield some of that health, but good engage there from Delay, who uses his Ignite, and it's essentially just a harass at the end of the day.
Yeah, grabbing a cleanse feels nice from Guma. And, you know, it's a Cull matchup here in the bottom side. If you get any sort of advantage, it can snowball incredibly hard. And when you know your opponent has Cull as well, you know, you can look for these aggressive trades.
Topside, Orin, ever since his entrance onto the Rift, ever since his release, has been the guy to just go up against the Jace. He's always been the best, especially because of his trading potential. As Faker is actually winning these trades now. Probably hit a charm here to make that happen. Chovy maybe getting a little bit too frisky.
Yeah, looks like it. As they're both sitting on Doran rings here. Chovy did pick up the Dark Seal. As the Unsealed Spellbook hasn't been used just yet for Faker. Could maybe look for an Ignite play there, something like that, but doesn't commit hard. And Chovy does have his Corrupting Pot, so it's going to be back to normal here, but at least now the pressure has been relieved. Faker looking like he's going to match this back here, but actually will stay and try to get an early Drake. Obviously, he is his bottom side. So once again, T1 with these early objectives, stacking them up. And it is going to be a Chemtech Drake first. So we know it's not that soul this time, at least. So they know it's like it's definitely not as bad as it has been the last two games with their early advantages.
Yeah, I actually, in between games, I got on the phone with Ox, and I had to do a little bit of convincing, but he actually did allow us to not have a Chemtech soul this time. So thank you, Ox. For that wonderful generosity, as we do get to have probably a more fun soul here, as another singular Infernal Drake is going to come through here for game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all of the rest of the Drakes that you can get now are super relevant. Movement speed is going to be huge here. and the healing against the poke, especially of Gen.g, would be massive for T1 if they end up getting that soul. So I feel like it's going to be very relevant this time around. It's not just going to be the Elder Spawner as we did see. And obviously was kind of important for the Aphelios last game. It's often very low on health, but we don't have to talk about that this time around. As
yeah.
It's a bit of a lull state here in the early game. Not enough control to start up this Herald just yet. It's obviously hasn't spawned yet, but either team going to be looking to group for that early.
Yeah, this is what sometimes happens in long series as well, best of fives especially, where teams, you know, they get a little crazy early on, but then they kind of take a step back. They have a second talk with the coach, and the coach is like, okay, guys, you really need to you don't need to go this crazy. Also could be nerves at times. I don't think it really is for these players, considering the caliber we have on the Rift.
I really like the vision set up here for Gen.g. is they don't have vision of owner right now, but this wave is pushing out. Look at the ward line they have though across the map. They can know where he is at any moment.
There's the hook onto Delight as he does have flash, as he hops over to Pays, and he's ticking down first blood. Keria picks it up in the bottom lane.
The Ignite ticks through, and it's enough damage. So even though you had vision of everywhere owner could have been, you didn't use it because the one place you didn't know where he was is on the bottom part of the map here. There's a control vision on the blue buff, and there's vision, of course, or there's a lack of vision in that brush, and they still end up getting hooked. Plate gold is insane here for Guma this early on in the game. It wasn't he who picked up the first blood, but still.
Another one.
Yeah, I think he's going to get it because it's a massive wave, and Pays is just trying to get in here and farm.
It was one kill. Charm here onto Chovy. He's going to be okay, but now this lane isn't even... You know, he doesn't have any charges on his corrupting pot at the moment. Looks like they did not get the third turret plate, but still, to do that much damage here 8 minutes into the game is gigantic.
I mean, they likely will get it because of the damage done, like you say. And they could just Thresh Lantern out of here. This is pretty huge. Now, they didn't know where owner was, but by the process of elimination, they probably realized there was a good chance he was on the bottom side of the map doing the blue buff and or the Gromp because those were up. But they didn't expect him to be there.
Look at this.
Okay.
They fake a back as summoners are here for the side of them as they dodge the knockup once again, and they get on in there. Owner picks up the kill.
T1.
And a Lantern comes in again. This is pristine play on the bottom side of the map.
It's the biggest lead they've had this series. It's just straight up the biggest lead they've had this early, this series. And now you have a very huge gold gap here on the side of Gen.g. And this next Drake is spawning in 90 seconds here. Both of these Drakes, you know, lead to a better soul, like we've talked about. Peanut's going to try to get something back. No flash on owner.
Okay, he's getting on in there. Owner, I think he's just dead. He's going to dash away, but Peanut, nice look to come on in and at least pull together some scraps.
Can they bait Faker in here? Chovy's in the vicinity. This would be huge.
It's a bit of damage on a Peanut. He's just going to smite and get out of there. Elects not to get too crazy with it.
Keria has level 6, but this play, like if you look at the wards and the vision here, it's just not a lot of angles for him to be anywhere but the bottom side of the map, but it's the Thresh hook that makes it all happen. Like if that hook doesn't go off for Keria, whether he's there or not is insignificant. But Keria once again hits the hook, and then they bait him with the backs.
They're just playing with their Rakan food, man. They know exactly when he's going to hop in with the Grand Entrance. We got a fight on live, though, as Zeus is going to be the first one to go down. And you see the Ornhorn just flies by.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of details and pieces missing for this one, but Ornhorn missing, as you say, and now Gen.g completely in control, and Guma, he has no ultimate here. Owner doesn't have Heartbreaker, so the steal angle's not there. This is very greedy from T1 to stick around regardless.
Don't really have to fight this one, but they say they still have an angle. They have Zeus with TP coming on in. He's going to go into the mid lane. That's all he can go to at this point in the game. So yeah, that's just Rift Herald given over the side of Gen.g, and T1 basically just tickled them while it was happening.
Yeah, so Zeus flashed down. He dies, loses ultimate, and then now his TP is down to come to a fight where he's too late, unfortunately. This doesn't take anything away from the advantages that T1 had moments before. Faker's also going to pick up a plate here. And, okay, Chovy, can he get the chains? No.
Yeah, Faker's, he uses that speed boost from the REW so well to just dodge the chains and be super annoying for Chovy.
No vision on this Drake, so regardless of losing that Herald, T1 are going to get the second Drake of the game. It's Mountain Soul, which is really massive for T1 in this game. The safety that you're going to have on your Aphelios, the additional resistances for Ahri when she dives, and the Ornn, of course, which is going to be an insane frontline for this team. So this is very problematic for gen.g. Let's see what happens here as T1 are a little bit late for the group up, and Zeus is just way out on his own. Fortunately, just burst down here, using his ultimate and his flash to try to survive and turn this one around, but T1 decide, okay, the Herald is going to be like our 5th man in this fight, and maybe we'll still get something, but they're unsuccessful. But still get that Drake, and this is going to be top, where they drop this for Doran.
Trying to get him into what looks to be an Eclipse build this time around, even into the tank, doesn't matter. Still going to be looking to hit the squishy underbelly of the T1 composition.
Exactly, and this is why this Mountain Soul can be so problematic for gen.g. At least he's going to get some additional plates here. It looks like the Gore Drinker build is kind of falling by the wayside here in our LCK playoffs, which makes me happy because I think it was one of the builds that was a little bit more niche, whereas the Lethality build is going to give you a lot more power earlier on in the game in terms of your poke, and it's going to be a itemization that allows you to push your advantages, like in a lane they have here.
We keep zooming in on the mid lane, but so far it's just been trades back and forth. Very often this just happens. That's the unsealed spellbook Ignite, by the way. Chovy goes back in, misses chains.
Faker is just dodging every single chain.
Pretty much.
Chovy in this lane. And Owner?
Oh, he is in a rough spot here. He does not have flash. Going to Heartbreaker the wall and get on over as Charm misses Chovy. He's following up with some damage as Keria is also getting in there. I don't know if they know how many members of gen.g are right there.
Well, there's no objective to fight over, so this is a lot of tools expended here on both sides, actually, through this choke point on the attempted lockdown, then of Keria, as Faker does get away, doesn't have to flash. Keria now flashless, but has Hex Flash, so not going to be too big of a deal. This would have been massive for gen.g if there was a Drake to take right afterwards, but unfortunately, that is not the case. And they're not even going to be able to turn this into plate gold here on the bottom side of the map either. So a close call for Owner, who loses only his ultimate, which is on a relatively low cooldown, doesn't have to flash because he didn't have it, and everything's calm on the Rift as Peanut wants to do something, but no ult.
Charm the clone, as here comes Delight. He's got a nice little angle, pretty sneaky, but they do spot him. Meanwhile, on the top side, this Rift Herald did do a massive chunk into these plates. Doran just looking to pick up a 3rd one before it goes down, but he will be unsuccessful.
Yeah, and the more you force these fights on the bottom side of the map, the more Doran is safe to continue to push these advantages here on the top side. So explains a lot of why they were trying to continue to chase and force there. They weren't going to get a bottom side plate. He's unsuccessful getting that plate there, and it's a high-action, low-kill game that we're looking at right now. And the next big fight is going to be for what could be T1's insanely fast soul point, because they got those first 2 Drakes so quickly. We're looking at a 16-minute 3rd Drake of the game if they take it instantly here. So gen.g need to be ready and set up for this. Doran has teleport, needs to save it. Chovy looking for that Mythic before that fight happens. And, I mean, this is a tense game for gen.g. Remember, for those watching, it's a 0-2 so far for them in this series. One more loss, and they drop down.
Yeah, it's not easy. It looks very different from what we saw in the finals last year. For gen.g, we're able to get 3-0 in summer. As Faker's just throwing everything in every direction. As Zeus just going to face check, it looks like here. Maybe in a little bit of trouble. Has his flash, but he's just going to boost himself away.
Doran very happy with this exchange here. Zeus has no teleport. Doran does, and can of course join this Drake fight too. So pushing Zeus out like this is massive for him.
There you go. Zeus just stays under turret, decides, well, I'll just give my life. I mean, that seemed pretty straightforward. He had flash, maybe thought he could avoid some damage, but did not execute it correctly.
And Peanut was there too. Like, they could have actually really forced this even if he decides to back away. Doran now should be able to get the teleport back and then turret back and then teleport to the Drake fight. So this is really huge. And Zeus, you know, he's respawning here in 10, does have his ult and flash, but T1 need to be better grouped for this Drake. They have Cryo right now. See if they can hold on to it.
Sahuk going through. They're trying to get whatever pick that they can before this starts, but I don't think it's really going to happen. And now they're 4v5. Zeus is running over as fast as he possibly can. T1 will try to delay the time here and give themselves a chance at this Drake. So that was very close. Faker nearly gets Warrior stirred on.
I mean, Faker just seems like he is so incredibly gifted at dodging things in this third game here.
He's clearly very in the zone right now.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
As Hook is in, they get the knock up here. Chovy's taking some unnecessary damage on the bottom side. T1, Keria, and Zeus able to set that one up.
I mean, now Zeus is here with ult. I mean, this is a tough fight for gen.g with LeBlanc being half health.
Faker a little bit zoned away from this one at the moment. He's in mid. Spino is able to zone him. They don't have full vision there. It's actually very nice vision control for gen.g on the left side, so Faker's got to choose his angles wisely. Is trying to get in there as he does an insane amount of damage to Guma, and T1 say, well, we can't fight that now. gen.g going to pick up the first Mountain Drake.
And it's the rare Everfrost LeBlanc, but it's some additional damage here, and that's going to be the first Drake of the game here for gen.g, a very valuable one. You start stacking up these mountains against T1's composition, and it's going to be very problematic, especially considering the build here from Faker, which is the more standard one here with the Everfrost. But it's going to be a lack of damage on their team composition until Guma hits his third item, LDR, so we're very far away from that. But gen.g make his life a lot harder here each step of the way, and every Mountain Drake they deny makes this Jace pick stronger. So they're going to be able to turn this into also a win here where they grab the second Herald of the game on the top side of the map. So massive turnaround here in this game. And gen.g really coming back in a big way as Chovy is the one who sets all of that up, as we're going to go back to this, where this is a huge advantage, the initial part of the Drake, where Doran all-in Zeus here, gets the turret and then teleports over to the objective. This hardly even needed to be shown, but Chovy's play in the fight, which I hope we don't miss the replay of, is massive because he's able to threaten Guma. He was just chugging his refillables as well after he went down to half health, so he could actually go in there and make that threat happen.
Well, we might not get another look at it because there was no blood on the rift,
True.
I suppose. So, yeah, just know that Chovy was able to unlock that angle on the bottom side even after getting chunked out. So we kind of resume our bit of a lull state here. Both of the teams just waiting by. And gen.g with a little bit less hard engage. I mean, they still have Wukong and Rakan, of course. It's no Malphite, though, and I feel like that's going to just be even better for the Aphelios because he loves when people are in melee range, such as, you know, the Rakan and the Wukong, but just needs to survive the engage in the first place.
Yep. And this is going to be the Herald taking out this turret. Now, this is what they were not able to accomplish with the LeBlanc pick in Game 1, is get rid of this turret so that the LeBlanc has a lot more freedom to come over and punish anyone who's trying to farm in mid. So the farming becomes more difficult for Guma now. Speaking of...
okay.
That's a Cyclone.
He gets away. Excellently baited. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that was probably Keria having a panic attack and being like, get over here on my lantern. Why are you pathing that way? Don't walk that way. And then Guma's like, no, dude, it's chill. He got his Cyclone. Cyclone for Lantern trade. I always trusted you, Keria. It's okay.
Yeah. All calculated. Here's Peanut on the bottom side of the map. As it seems pretty obvious that eventually T1 will try to push in here and take down this turret. And that they do. Big rotation over from a lot of the guys on the side of gen.g as there's the Shock Blast, but this is an Ahri with Flash we're talking about, so it's not like Faker's in any trouble.
Nope. We'll have his teleport back now. And it wasn't like a teleport commitment or anything like that, just a trap set. They saved the turret, so denying some gold is pretty massive. And look at this, the Jace, once again. 2,300 gold at the time we take a look at this. I feel like all three games we've seen this. Let's see what Doran could do with it this time, because he's gotten such a massive lead, like Keen did. Similarly, remember, not quite as big, but a massive lead that Keen had in the KT Rollster series for T1 earlier on in our playoffs. And then T1 was able to survive through and win it out in the end. So
yeah,
gen.g did to make sure they just don't drop the ball here and continue to win these objectives, because I think they absolutely can win this game, and they're on the right track too, because Chovy is also in a good spot this game. They don't have that turret up in mid.
Yeah, certainly feels like one of the best chances they'll have in this series so far. As is. Let's see, though, how the fights go out. You see that already. The teams are K-ramming just a bit to try to get Prio in mid lane for the Mountain Drake that's eventually spawning here.
Yeah, it looks like gen.g going to clear some of this Baron vision, and then they can start setting traps with this LeBlanc like I was talking about.
And yeah, the LeBlanc, and oh boy, Carrier's going to have to go back real quick. He's backing on a ward.
That is such a sick setup, though. You can see where the Everfrost leads to an empowered Shock Blast.
Oh, you're there. Denies the back. You're backing on a ward. Got to be careful.
Oh man, Carrier's pushed away here, and this should be gen.g getting this Drake here. Worst case scenario, and Owner's forced away now too. Gonna have to Lantern, and man, T1 nowhere near the Drake now as Faker is in the top lane. He has teleport, but he's not threatening anything.
A nice angle here for Chovy. Finds Owner, who has to heartbreak away, and now doesn't have that. The poke from the side of gen.g from ahead is insane.
Yeah, Chovy, man, he does have the keys to the van this game. I'm telling you, he's doing everything by himself right now with no vision, and that's that mid-turret value.
Do Baron? Do Baron?
There's a control ward here, and there's TP for Doran. He can actually TP safely to top.
Okay, they're going to start it. As you see that Doran is still doing this Drake. He's got the TP, as you mentioned.
Yes.
But is the damage enough? I mean, I don't think they're going to get here on time. Peanut trying to get into the pit. As Zeus going to blow the Horde, but he gets knocked up, and it doesn't matter. Faker with a double snipe. It was not a flip at the end of the day. T1 double smite down the Baron, and they get out.
They double smite it, they get away. They have so much mobility here. They have Flash expended for 2 of their players here, but they do end up getting the Baron, so a Baron for Drake trade here. And it was Chovy, in fact, who teleported top, not Doran, so he can't actually blast any of that damage through for the setup for Peanut because he's a LeBlanc. He alone is trying to come through that, but versus double smite, you're never going to win that. And T1 has showed the strat so many times. It happened to KT twice, actually, in the same game.
Yeah.
And now
Faker
looking for something.
Never mind.
That was a successful heist, but will they be able to get map control back is the question that we have to ask here now.
It's so important.
The first
this comp, you need map control, you need vision.
Yeah, and the first ornament is set here. It is Guma's, of course, and starting to get to that point of the game where the scaling is coming online. But T1 need to group here and I think just push through mid and then put control wards in their wake.
Mid tier 1, the very obvious first objective, right? Try to take this down. It's going to give you the most map control possible as gen.g are kind of flying around, taking a lot of damage, trying to stop them, but this is against Baron. So not really successful in that.
Doran is just pushing the side. So is Faker, of course. As LeBlanc is just going to be a big threat here, trying to stop them from getting this into a 2-turret lead. That's going to force Faker's TP.
Okay, a little bit of damage here as they really want to pressure the LeBlanc and not just allow Chovy to freely hit their members. Very annoying for T1 to deal with.
Yeah, but I think they've really dealt with it quite nicely here. Another wave of super minions, or rather Baron minions, coming over.
Got to be careful. They're getting caught over here. Zeus, nice buffer. As meanwhile, there is a sneaky Jason the Bush who has no mana.
Yeah, he has no mana here. He has Flash.
He's going to get some mana as we... Okay. We got fighting all over the Rift.
Looks like this is going to be the end of Doran's attempt to kill Faker. As the ult.
Did they go too far is the question. Chovy has to flash away, Cyclone defensively, and T1 say, okay, we still have Baron for 45 seconds. Let's just take the turret and not force the fight. We got enough.
It feels like it's been a very long time since we've seen Peanut actually have an impactful Cyclone in this game on the offensive here. I mean, he's have been impactful defensively to get away from these fights, but he's never able to actually start the tempo in his favor in these engages, in these skirmishes. And Zeus now has Jak'Shos picked up here. And it is, of course, enabled by the ornament. It's the ornament Jak'Shos that he's picked up here. That's what the icon is showing there, top right. Yeah. So he's a lot tankier now. He's a lot more difficult to kill. You have a lot of damage now on this Aphelios. About to be on 3 items. Did go for the Bloodthirster this time around because that big threat isn't there of the Malphite. You still have to deal with Wukong, but it's not quite the same. You mentioned this earlier, and I mean, T1 wrestling back a lot of control with just one Baron steal alone. I wouldn't say steal, but obviously take away a sneaky Baron.
Heist.
A sneak, yeah.
It felt like, yeah, like this big plans. We're going to go in there and get the jewel and get out.
And like,
I like the word heist.
Yeah, and T1 now are in a position where They're like, okay, we got enough map control, we set up enough vision here across the board to where we can group up for this objective now without Chovy being able to assassinate any of our backline targets. And this is a point where T1 can actually take a straight-up 5v5 fight on their terms and take sole point. And it's felt like for so long in this game, Chovy has just ruled this rift, but all it takes is one Baron push, and that control fades away in. Gen.g are going to group up for this now and start taking away some of that vision, but they're going to have to fight for it.
And Chovy doesn't have flash now because you see that if Chovy gets in there in the face of 5 members of T1 or even 4, if you've got like an Ornn for very long range setup, it's actually pretty rough to get away. Yes, LeBlanc is very slippery, but there are ways for T1 to try to turn it. And even one Mountain Drake could be the difference maker, you know, chop down a lot of the damage from Chovy, from Doran, some of that poke, and give T1 a chance to just stabilize. Gen.g, an incredibly important moment for them, because they would love a third Mountain Drake, of course.
I love the Serpent's Fang here against Guma's shield, picked up from Doran as well. Nice little tech here to try to eliminate the front line.
Arm, okay. And T1 have total control of the river. Gen.g have 0 wards.
Yeah, they have
right now. As here we go again. Charm comes in. The hook misses.
A rare
miss.
Yeah, rare miss here.
But it happens. That's going to give Gen.g a chance.
This is an angle, once again, where Doran needs to be doing damage here, but he can't see. He can't hit what he cannot see. Chovy's going over the wall to clear vision here and basically be a living ward for those shock blasts.
Yeah, he is on in there, but he gets the hook on a Peanut, so Keria is able to spare his own blushes. As Chovy now in the pit, there's no smite, and it goes the way of Owner, as Zeus is going to bang his head against the wall in celebration, and T1 get their first Mountain Drake.
I mean, that was about as good as was going to get steel-wise here from Gen.g, with the shock blast coming through with Chovy on the chains, just to maybe hope for a third Mountain here to go over, but they didn't have smite because Peanut was on the flank setting up for a Cyclone. And the rest of his team is so far away, it's kind of a bizarre flank angle here. You don't know where Keria is. And even if you did Cyclone here, where's your follow-up? This is another puzzling choice from Peanut here on a critical objective fight.
More fighting, Wolf. More fighting. TP's coming in. Chovy and Delight get themselves in a rough spot, but they get the TP and they get out. And it doesn't matter too much. But the biggest thing is that they're trying to set up for the Baron, and Chovy was trying to get in here and stop them from getting a free entrance into this objective once again.
And I mean, we are looking at, this could just be a game-ending Baron if T1 picked this up. There's going to be so much control. Chovy unseen, but he can't threaten to this by himself. He needs the rest of his team and needs a Shock Blast to hit. Peanut has Flash Cyclone, but it needs to be on the rest of the team. It needs to be not on the edge of T1, but on the back line of T1.
Okay, they're going to start it up, and there's no double smite available this time.
Yeah, but I don't think they can do this unless they win a team fight against T1.
Yeah, seems pretty difficult.
Seems pretty sus. Doran's at half health now.
Yeah, he's taking a lot of damage. So is Keria, but obviously not as important as Doran at this point in time.
And the Shock Blast value just isn't really there. Doran's actually going to use one acceleration gate and then back here during the cooldown of that, and we'll return to this fight.
Yeah, Guma holding Calibrum, so he's actually doing a decent amount of poke damage in this fight before it even begins.
Yeah, now he's got the Infernum set for a big ultimate too in these choke points. Doran's actually going to push this top wave, and T1 see that as the angle to pull the trigger here on this Baron. Peanut,
Chovy's behind them. I don't know if they know about this, but Keria's going to get the news as this is about to get really interesting. Peanut trying to get in. The damage is there as they get the hook on the Delight, but they don't go in on this one. A little bit broken up as the fight, as Owner's out of the pit, and massive ult value comes out from Guma as he just blows up the back line of Gen.g. Lots of low health bars on both sides, but Guma is the final boss at this point in time. He's looking to try to get on in there, but not quite able to follow up on that.
Yeah, so that's going to be no Baron going over. It's a trade of support for top lane, and finally that damage started to come through in the fight for Gen.g. Doran is actually hitting big shock blasts when T1 commit. And that's all it took, is both of these teams will struggle to actually start Baron off, especially Gen.g's comp. They have very little turn. They're playing a Jace LeBlanc comp, so they can't really start it, but as soon as T1 does, they turn it into a shooting gallery. Fortunately, it's just a trade of 1-for-1. Now they're going to start this up, though, with Chovy having all of this vision removed. He's on the other side of the pit.
Well, Owner might get there on time. He's got a lantern, too. Doesn't, I guess, okay, trying to get in there, and no, it's going to be Xayah who picks it up, and 2 kills! Immediately going to the pockets of gen.g.
And this is a huge Baron here because of the delay, but at the same time, I just really don't think you need to be committing like that. Try to go for a steal, the risk is so high. And let's look at this fight here. I mean, Carrier's on the back, he gets a hook here onto the Recon, but Faker's pushed out of the pit. Owner has to flash over, Heartbreaker over rather, and the ult value is massive here for Guma. Well, the follow-up isn't there. They're pushed off the Baron. And on the return here to Baron, they have enough damage. And then this steal attempt here, obviously, with the Lantern is cool, and it is very close, but they have the feathers set. And Pays denies, and that's 2 kills that go over with it. It's definitely not worth. I mean, yeah, fairly risky for gen.g at the end of the day, but you're going to take those kills whether the steal goes off or not.
And so we reset once again. Let's see what gen.g can get done with this Baron power play. They have about 3,000 gold to lead, but it's 32 minutes in. You see what kind of damage Guma can do if he hits a big ultimate. The Xayah, of course, also pretty gigantic in this game. Both our AD carries very fed in this one. gen.g, if they push straight into Aphelios, not going to find much value.
The biggest win for them is that they're going to get this third Mountain Drake, you know, and yeah, a lot of map control is coming with this too. As the long gets stronger.
T1 trying to go for the engage here. Hayes has Featherstorm, just going to dodge it. It doesn't even have to use it. T1 pretty desperate, looking for an engage in mid lane.
Well, now you're definitely not going to be able to fight for this Drake as T1 anymore. And Chovy going to take this turret out, so they're getting so much deep vision removed, so much map control into these turrets.
Okay, over the wall goes Baker. He's trying to set up the play, and they burst out Doran! As Baker now, can he get out is the question. He goes into his stopwatch as he is not in a great spot, and the damage comes in, paces over the wall, immediately goes into the Featherstorm, and will survive as Delight is there for the follow-up.
That follow-up
is so tanky as Guma now, trying to go 1v5, flashes in, and nearly takes Delight down, but almost dies himself.
Chovy was ready to get in there, man. He's like, I got the stopwatch, I'm going in, and Pays flashes in with ult, and he cleanses as well, and is able to help secure that kill. An insanely brave play from a player who's been so clutch in his rookie season alone. These are the types of fights where Pays will not be afraid. Talking about some of the confidence issues for gen.g across the years, across the careers of players like Peanut, Chovy, Doran, who've struggled to get an LCK title until just last year. But you look at the turn here, and look at how far away Pays is, and he's just going to follow through. And when Chovy goes over the wall, he's like, I'm going with them. This is actually insane. Flashes in, instantly cleanses, and then Featherstorms his way out, so avoids the hook here from Carrier, and gets out to secure the kill.
And then Guma did not want to be outdone. As we got another fight, we just keep doing this as they're looking for Delight mid lane. Hornhorn comes in, catches Doran, as they did not expect that, and down goes the Jace. As the follow-up in here, the Spirit rushes on the Pace. He doesn't have Featherstorm, it's 1 second away! He's not able to use it here in this fight. His owner is going to die as Xayah, funnily enough. As okay, that is a trade up here for T1 as they will look to push.
And they're going to try to get an inhibitor out of this, and I think they should be able to.
Or how about this? Over the wall, there you go. This guy is just no chill.
Ahri Thresh, man, it's a force of nature. It's a threat you have to respect.
Yeah,
don't know where it's coming from.
Look at Faker's items now. He's got upgraded Everfrost and Death Cap. Like, he is bursting people down.
They want to try to end here. I think this might be a bridge too far. Doran's up in 15.
Okay, this is kind of insane. They're looking for Guma. The Lantern take is perfectly timed as they take down one Nexus turret. Lots of damage on the Chovy. Okay, they're going to back off after this, but man, they are playing with fire. But they have been doing that all series long.
Teleport from Doran.
Yeah, he's looking to come in. As they do ping this, they do know this is coming in. Faker looking to maybe just show them away. Takes the Lantern. And we will get a big shock blast here, as it will hit Faker. But is there any follow-up after that is the real question.
I don't think so. I think they're going to get out of here just fine. Peanut doesn't have Cyclone for a few more seconds, and they actually will escape.
Yeah.
And there's no objective, like you say, for 90 seconds here. So that's just a teleport down here for Doran. And there's a backdoor win condition for T1 once again. This time not as clean as the previous game because there is a Nexus turret up. And once again, there's no control ward, or just ward in general, rather. Control ward was in the base, but it was cleared, of course. As this all starts off with a really aggressive teleport here from Faker, and Zayas turns the angle of his ultimate at the last possible second, gets Doran. And that's all you need to continue to push forward here.
And Hayes was like 1 second away.
Yeah, his ult is so
Feather
close.
Storm.
But he doesn't have it in time. So those 2 kills are all the damage removed. Yeah, man, gen.g fans got to be really stressing right now.
Every game is like pulling teeth. It doesn't matter the lead. It's insane.
Still up on gold, but this inhibitor being down means T1 have so much control over objective fights. Both of the critical ones coming up here, Baron and the Soul for Mountain. It's the 7th break of the game.
Yeah. Still, mid inhibitor once again. He's just going to chew through that super minion like it's a block of cheese. And down that will go. As long as they stay grouped as a team in mid, T1 will not really have a real angle to get into the base. So probably just going to be another fight here over the Baron. And the potential Mountain Soul.
Yeah.
In a minute and a half.
T1, lot of Baron control right now. GA for Owner is so huge because he could really force things like these flanks he's setting up right now. Chovy sees him. He wants to pop that Banshee's Veil. He's unsuccessful.
Okay, over the wall they go. The charm is insane! Unbelievable! As down goes Doran again! This guy just cannot survive against them!
Yeah, just like the ult from Zeus, it's turned. It looks like he's charming somebody else, but he just turns the charm onto Doran. Doran's killed here once again before these critical objectives.
Yeah, and the turn is still here. No Ornhorn this time around from T1 as Chains landing on him. The box is down in the opening as they get the hook on a Peanut. He does have a stopwatch here as the Moonlight Vigil goes wide and the damage here on Owner. He goes into the GA as Delight. And Chovy and Paze in the backline will stay alive as Carry is back there. He gets the hook on a Paze, and that provides the front line for T1. Guma is able to take down his opposing AD Carry, and T1 will take the Baron.
It looks like this is probably just going to be the win here for T1, 3-0, because now you have this Baron. Chovy's looking for a steal.
Chovy, can he do it? He doesn't have any vision. Nope, not gonna happen. As Aphelios, Guma takes down the Baron.
Peanut pushed mid, which is really huge because during all of this now, at least when they try to go to push to end, they have to go through all of these minions. And they are going to be able to go for Mountain Soul here, rushing it over. TP is down to the bottom lane.
They basically have to go all in on this. I don't think you can give this away. Zeus is trying to get on over and delay this as much as he can. Ornhorn comes in as he will knock up Peanut, but it does not matter. Still lands the smite. T1 and Faker cannot get into punish.
Now, the push is real in mid here, potentially for T1 if they just want to try to siege up and win the game that way. But the Soul goes over, and because Peanut pushed the mid wave so aggressively towards the inner turret, there's just no wave to actually go for an end right now. And, you know, they still have Baron for 2 minutes, but they're just going to try to take more control over the map instead of trying to force the end against a flashless Doran. This game is crazy, again, as it has been for all of T1's games in the playoffs.
39 minutes, and we are pushing the bottom lane. The Bloodthirster and Overheal really helping to mitigate some of that damage alongside of their one Mountain Drake as Chovy's getting on in there.
I mean, Chovy is so difficult to kill. He's level 18, he has 4 Mountain Drakes and a Banshee's Veil on top of him, so he could kind of continue to harass and look for backline access, but this Baron buff is the problem.
Really is pushed in, the Cyclone is good on the aggression this time around, but no follow-up comes in as underneath the turret, Faker goes down as massive damage comes in from the Aphelios, and Pace has to get in and out at the same time as down will go this inhibitor.
Still have to somehow kill this Aphelios. He's just doing so much damage here.
Guma is a one-man army right now, surrounded by his minions, escorting him to win the game.
Faker dies, but they are able to take out this inhib. Now the mid inhibitor is going to respawn here. It's up now. And now you have, as T1, you're hoping so desperately you can set for an opportunity for a backdoor. They are seen. They'll be forced away. I don't even want to make predictions about what's going to happen next because the Elder's up in 4 minutes and 20 seconds, but we're just seeing T1 be so aggressive around mid. And Doran has no flash right now. He needs to be so careful in these moments. This is Faker's first-person view.
I think we missed the charm. Either way, you guys can watch that on replay later.
Peanut here goes in. Faker's caught under turret. Guma hits a big ult here. Hayes has to ult away, and he survives here, so they will lose the inhibitor. But there's no way that T1 can continue the push here. They don't have enough positional advantage here. They don't have enough minions.
Here we go. This is it. Look at this charm.
This is the charm where it looks like he's looking for Rakan, but he actually just turns it on to Doran.
Yeah, Doran was walking into them because he didn't expect it. It's like he walked straight into the charm.
It's
Sovi. Nope, not going to happen this time, but the team has to get in position. Gen.g, this is your last stand, basically.
Shirelliing these minions in to try to rush down this inhib.
Should be able to, although Faker takes a big chunk of damage. And Faker, at this point, doesn't really do much to Chovy, as you were mentioning before.
He's just so tanky with all of these resistances and the Banshee's Veil, so...
FaZe, GA.
This game is stressing me out, because I mean,
it really could be anybody's game too. Like gen.g might just hold and maybe they win one big team fight, push down mid and end it.
We also just don't see, like all season long, this has been the season and the year of one-sided snowball games where you rarely go past 35 minutes. So, like 35 minutes, it was like for all season long, you're like lucky to get there. Plus 40, like never gonna happen. T1 going 40 minutes plus. We've seen that more times in playoffs than we've seen in regular season because this team just does not mess up their leads. They snowball. You very rarely get these tense games where the gold is even at 42 and there's 7 Drakes taken. Peak League of Legends right here.
This is like, it's kind of insane. Charm is going to land. Oh, Toby, he got caught. He is so low in the base right now. As we're looking for the snipe, not going to happen. As meanwhile, Peanut's just trying to zone for his team. I mean, that was not supposed to happen.
No, and they have no health here, but they can just go back to the fountain, and T1 don't have a wave here that they could push to try to end with, so they're just going to come in here, take a dip in the fountain, and then rush back over to mid.
No harm, no foul?
Yeah, 90 seconds here until the Drake. Now, if you get those kills or you get that GA, you will get the follow-up kill there. Peanut doesn't panic. He doesn't Cyclone. He is going to have Flash and Cyclone for this fight. And it's going to be about the setup here for the carries, right? And Faker has been getting picks onto Doran. Zeus has been getting picks onto Doran. If Doran survives here, he's got his flashback up. He could do a ton of damage on the setup in the neutral fight. But if you allow Guma to pop off, he is going to do very likely more than what FaZe is going to do in this fight here. He has that ornament, and he's full build. And yeah, so is the Xayah. But the Xayah is going to, I mean, there's just so many threats, right? You have to deal with here. And if Guma has that front line of this extremely large, tanky Ornn, it's just much safer for him to continue to do damage. The offers you have here are much lower on gen.g side in terms of front line. You got a LeBlanc and a Jace. You know, it's just not as safe. You're going to have to ult, and then once you ult, you can't fight anymore. So these shock blasts need to hit. The best defense for your AD carry on gen.g is a good offense.
Yeah.
It's good poke. And it's these solo laners getting the damage done before FaZe goes into fight.
Well, let's see it happen then. Let's see the execution happen this time around. We saw it happen when Doran hits an accelerated shock blast on Nagumi. He just immediately gets his shield back. It's like it's barely even happened. As meanwhile, here we go. Engage, they get Guma! They get him down! As he is into his GA in the follow-up here. He's going to have to try to get out, but no! He goes down! Peanut makes the pick happen! As Faker tries to get in and stop the push of the minions, but I don't think he was successful. They've got a cannon.
Yeah, carry is going to go down here, and they're going to try to push to end this one, and a clutch play from Peanut in an important series. A very incredible engage. We talked about his flash was coming up. He has Flash Cyclone, and that's what closes the gap on Naguma. Finally, he's popped into his GA, and the follow-up is real, and gen.g steal the win away. And we've got a series on our hands, Valdez.
A little bit late, but we in fact do. It's 2-1 as gen.g